Dakota here with Old Pecan Homestead. Today we're going to be broadcasting some crabgrass seed into the pasture, and we've got really good rain coming in the forecast. I think it's a really good time. It's a little overcast today, showered on me in Oklahoma City. I'm hoping I can get on this task and get it done. I'm going to cut to the chase here. Crabgrass seed is very fine, and you may be watching this video because you've already learned that or found that out. It is hard to get the right amount of seed put down per acre when it is that fine, and it does not broadcast very far. You just can't throw the seed hard enough because there's not enough mass to it. But I'm going to show you a trick in helping you meter that. So when you start out, only mix enough seed for 1 acre. That's about 5 pounds. You may go a little heavier if you wish. It's pretty pricey seed. So mix you up 5 pounds to 20 pounds of dry sweep to 40 pounds of dry sweep, however concentrated you want to go. And then set the gauge on your broadcast spreader and set your RPM on your tractor and your gear. Don't change those because this will change the application rate also. Get going, run your passes about as far as you think that your seed is spreading with slightly overlapping. Get all your passes down. You might check about halfway through your first acre and make sure you're not burning through too much seed to get it covered, because then you're going to run out of seed. But you don't want to run out before your acre's up. Once you've ran your acre, if you go, oh, we only used half of it, then you got to run that acre again till it's empty, and then make your adjustment on your seeder after it's empty. So say, man, that only covered half, bump it up about almost double that, but don't double it. Go about 75% of what you already had it set at. Run another acre. If that doesn't quite run out, you can bump it up if you want, or just run back over it real quick. Run the opposite direction across that acre. Just finish it out. Say, hey, that was close enough. This is going to ensure that I get through my acreage. Or bump that seeder up until you got it exactly where you want. But I would suggest staying a little bit under that 5 pounds to an acre, or say you're putting 10 pounds to the acre. I would try to run it to where you're running out about 8-9 pounds to the acre. That way you don't come up short on seed at the end of your project. So stay tuned, and we'll get you the content of mixing that up and applying it. But watch this right here. This is my front yard. I'm also going to be putting down this crabgrass in my front yard. I know that's a little weird to most people because people are trying to get rid of crabgrass all the time, but we graze our animals up here, and my grass just doesn't grow very good right out here in the yard, and I'll show you. So we put the wheat down. It did good. Somehow I didn't get this seeded very good with wheat. It was just kind of testing in the fall. But I took the disc through here. You can see this is kind of a more aggressive farrow from the disc, but once it rains, it'll settle in. Most of my disking looks more like this, just real subtle. You don't see much. You get down here and it's just 1/2 inch to 1.5 inches. But we're going to be putting that crabgrass here. I've also got a little bit of Bermuda to mix in, but not much. Not as much as I should have. But we'll be in this front yard first. No, I probably won't do it first because so the other morning I spent with my seeder helping a coworker and friend of mine spread crabgrass on his pasture. We've got the seeder gauged the way pretty close to where it needs to be, but I'm gonna go ahead and run my mix and my RPM on my tractor and retest it before I start on a small patch like this, because I don't want to put too much down in my front yard when my primary goal is my pasture. So the first place we run on the pasture is going to be about 1 acre on the pasture. Make sure it's feeding about like I want, and then if it is, I'll top up the rest of the box and we'll run the rest of the seed out just like that. So here's the trick to getting, this is only 5 pounds. Well, I went to 5.5 pounds. I went a little over, but I made a mark inside this bucket so I could just refill it in the future and know where 5.5 pounds is as I'm doing this. But that's 5.5 pounds of crabgrass seed, and that's supposed to cover about an acre. And we're going to mix 1 40-pound sack of dry sweep and this 5.5 pounds of seed. And I've also got a little bit of Bermuda. I'm going to put 2.5 pounds of Bermuda in there as well. Kind of do a blend. But this is going to help. If you were to just put that seed right there, if you were just put that in your seeder, your distribution, you would never get it right. There's a lot of trial and error in getting your seeder adjusted just right to only put 5 pounds out per acre. So you cut it with bulk material so that you can do a little bit of trial and error. You set your seeder on the low side and bump it up as you figure out how much you're putting out. So you cover about an acre. If you've only put out half your seed, you'll almost double your gauge setting. So let's get this mixed up and get it in the seeder and start getting it put down. And you don't want sticks in there. If you go to O'Reilly's, it's going to cost you about $11 per sack. But if you go to Atwood's, I got it for $7 a sack. Ace had it listed at $18 a sack, and I said, "Oh no, I can't pay 18." And they said, "Well, they price match." So I got 3 sacks from Atwood's, and Ace price matched the other 2 sacks that I need. Let me get the Bermuda. I'm going to try to stretch my Bermuda. I plan on filling my seed box 4 times. So I'm just going to put about half this 5-pound sack, which is a lot of seed, really. That's about 2.5 pounds of Bermuda seed. That's really quite a bit. I'm way underdoing the recommendations for overseeding Bermuda, but to me it's just a bonus. I'm already putting the crabgrass seed down. I put what I could afford in Bermuda down. Should put some water in there probably. So once we get all this turned in, I'm going to show you just how many seeds there are in a handful of this. It'll really surprise you. This is just a handful of that seed, or of that mix. I don't know if you can see all that little tiny seed in there, but those white ones right there, those are Bermuda, which are a little sparse, but that's okay. And then all those little brown ones are your crabgrass holes. So now we're going to get this put in the seeder and start spreading. What you're going to do is mix 1 acre's worth and test an acre patch to make sure your seeder is set right, because it's going to be different for every single seeder. So mix up however many pounds to the acre you're wanting to put down with 1 sack of dry sweep. If you want to go 10 pounds an acre, more power to you, but the seed is very expensive. So I would just do the recommendation and test it, bump your seeder up as you discover what rate it's going down at. And I'll be using this Garber seeder, Seed Easy. We picked it up at an auction for about $100. It needed a little bit of attention, but not much. I just re-greased it. It had issues with a shaft and a set screw, but that's all that I discovered was wrong with it. All right, so when you get this seed box full, scribe a mark or use some sort of a reference point to know. So when you get about a half an acre through, we'll see how much seed we're using. And right now we're roughly an inch, inch and a half underneath these 2 screws. And that's what we were gauging it off of when we did this the other day.
Go on, Burris. Go. Go on. Eh. Go on. Can't go in the yard. Panda. If you'll notice, the weather's looking pretty dreary. It's about to start raining. It's actually sprinkling on me now. But it's supposed to start raining, and I think it's supposed to rain the next 3 or 4 days or off and on. And so he's trying to get this seed down pretty quick. That way it'll be able to germinate and stuff. What do you see, Otter? Otter, what do you see? Our pond finally filled back up. I don't think we showed y'all that. What are you doing, Burris? What you doing, bud? You getting your protein? Burris, what are you doing? You want to say hi? I thought so. Hi, baby. Tilly, we got something in the mail for you today. That'll be in a later video, though. There's Clarabelle. She's still growing. She won't let us touch her at all. Blackjack. You're gonna say hi again? You're showing everybody your teeth. Smile. Jemima. This cow right here we call Panda. These guys are doing a number on that bale already. Gonna have to shave old Miss Tilly again here soon. This weather's starting to get warm. Oh, I missed the goats. It's sprinkling, so they're hustling back to their shed over here. If you do not own goats, then you'll learn very quickly that they do not like the water. They don't like rain, they don't like being sprinkled on, and it's pretty funny to see them freak out and run. The cows and the pigs could care less. They love it. They'll just stay out browsing with the goats. Goats are another story. This young lady with her two little doelings right here we picked up at the auction a week or so ago. We ended up selling Gandalf and Edith, our big giant hairy doe. She had trouble with her first kidding last year. She had one born dead and then ended up not taking care of the other one, and that one ended up somehow disappearing. I don't know if the hawk got it or what, but it disappeared. And then Gandalf, we love Gandalf. He was the best billy you could ask for. Very gentle. You know, he liked to be pet, but he wasn't all up in your face. He was a really good goat, but we couldn't keep him. He's related to half of our does and not really the lines that we're looking for. So somebody picked him up at the auction, so he'll go to a good home. We would have PO'd him maybe if he went to a meat buyer, but I don't think he went to a meat buyer. So we ended up picking up that doe and her two doelings.
Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm just coming in to check my seed box. I'm about halfway through this acre. Now, I did set this up on Sunday helping out a friend of mine with the same process. He's got a Kubota tractor, but it's 540 PTO. It should be similar at 2,000 RPM. It's going to be a little different just because the engines and horsepower are different. Transmissions are different. But if you come in here and look, remember we were at about 1.5 inches under that screw line, and we're about halfway through this acre that I mapped out. it's probably a little bit less than an acre, and I may not even be halfway through it, and we're not quite halfway through our seed, but that tells me we're just about on track. If I have a little bit left, that's perfect. I'll just move to the next acre. If we get all my farm covered and I've got 10 pounds of mix left to spread, then I'll just go hit some areas that I really want to see the improved grass on, or the improvement on pasture, especially right behind us here. This never grows. It's in wheat and winter grass right now is why it's so green, but in the summer all that is just dirt pretty much. So that's what we're looking to fix.
Scared me.
Did you see the goats acting like they're ready to switch?
Yep.
Okay, so on further inspection, if you want to come look at the seed box, you can notice that that's about an acre, and I've got quite a bit left. I'll probably there's probably quite a, and I was cutting pretty the area that I was covering. I was only spreading my tire tracks out about 3 feet. Sometimes I got real close to touching them. Because this crabgrass doesn't broadcast real far. So I might go ahead and bump my settings up a little bit higher, since there's obviously some differences. I'm traveling about as fast as he was. That's the key. That's another key point, is your tractor speed has to stay consistent for these results to mean anything. So you need to be in the same gear, the same RPM, if you're going to repeat the results that you gather. So what I'll do is I'll cover this piece that's tilled up right here really good, and once that's covered, I'll probably backtrack till this is empty to make sure that my 1 acre got seeded good, or probably not till it's empty, but I'll zigzag around it a few times, or I might just use the rest down around the pond in some not so important areas that I kind of wanted to hit. But once I go back to come over here and look at the seed gauge. Once I go back to fill this up, I'm probably going to turn it up to about a 7. It's at 6 right now, a little bit over 6. I'm going to turn it up to about a 7. I don't want to get carried away on my adjustments, but I think I'll be safe there, and I'll run 1 more sack through it. But once you're happy with what it's putting out, then you can go ahead and fill this up with as much product as you can so that you don't have to keep stopping. But I think I'm going to go ahead and run just 1 more sack to be sure. Okay, so the man that kind of showed me how to do this, he believes in putting Coca-Cola on the seeds, and he explained that it makes it stick to that dry sweep rock. And I don't know if that's really true for sure. I tried to pick it up and see if it stuck to any rocks, and I didn't notice that. But he's planted it with Coca-Cola on it, and he's had it germinate and do really well, and he's a seed salesman, so I'm sure he knows a little bit about what he's talking about. But I was really thinking the biggest benefit that it offers is that moisture absorbs into the seed, and it just makes the seed heavier. It's probably the biggest benefit. But I'm going to give him his credit. It definitely, I think, broadcasted further. I don't know if it was the weight or the Coca-Cola sticking to the rock, or it collecting dust and weighting down the seeds more, or what, but I'm going to go ahead and do the Coca-Cola. So I've got my seed about where it was. I'm going to go ahead and do 2 batches in the hopper, and I'm going to bump it up a little bit. If you're new to this, don't change 2 variables at once. Like, don't add Coca-Cola and adjust the seeder and put more seed in your hopper. But I'm comfortable with what I did out there, and I'm gonna bump it up, and in 3 different ways I'm gonna adjust it. But it doesn't take a lot, just maybe 5 or 6 ounces of that Coca-Cola to 5 pounds of seed, and mix it up. Yeah, it is yucky, huh? It's gonna make it sticky. You know what Coca-Cola does? Makes you sticky. But yeah, like that. But you can hear those seeds hitting that bucket, so you can tell they're a little bit heavier. I'm gonna put just a little bit more. I want them kind of wet. All right, now you can see they got a wet texture to them.
I'll put it in there.
It's gonna be a crabgrass patch right here in the front yard. All right, and like I said, I'm gonna do 2 batches, so I'm gonna go ahead and put the other half of this bag of Bermuda in there. But don't fill this thing more than you can handle, because if you spill this on the ground, you've spilled about, $35 worth of seed if you spill one 5-pound batch. So, well, if you got Bermuda in it, that's even more. $45, $50 worth of seed. Oops, I forgot I was only gonna put half that, but I was thinking. We'll just have to mix it extra hard. Coca-Cola?
No, it smells like rocks. You got to dump the rocks on the ground?
No. Well, yeah, I'm gonna dump them on the ground. I'm gonna dump them all over the ground, all over out there. In a really big area. You'll never be able, you'll barely be able to find one of these rocks on the ground when I'm done.
Let's do a lot of such a rocks. That's a little teeny tiny rocks. Is it sticky enough? Is it on now?
All right, so once it's a pretty even consistency, and you can see all those seeds in that rock, go ahead and put it in the hopper. But like I said, I'm gonna do a double batch this time. I need to find a 7/16 wrench. I think it's 7/16, so I can, or 1/2 inch, so I can adjust that. But
Put it in there. That's weird. Hey.
what?
Put it in there. Hey. What?
Yeah.
You put it in there.
Yep.
That time I can go under there.
Okay, fast forward now. It's been about 2 weeks. As soon as we put it in, the very next day we got probably 2.5, 3 inches of rain, but it was a little bit cool. We're finally hitting some high 80s, low 90-degree temperatures, enough to get it to germinate, and we finally have germination. If you look right here in this disc farrow, we've got all these little sprouts right here. All these, you know, in about a 2-foot area. I could count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 crabgrass sprouts in about a 2-foot area. So just judging off of this right here, I'm going to call that a success. Now up on a little bit higher ground where the terrace is, and the wind blows across it a little harder, it dries out a little faster, it might take a couple more rains to get it germinated, but I think we'll have good germination there too. But anyways, if you're looking to overseed your pasture with crabgrass. Like I said earlier, it's a great option, high protein. Or I know people that actually put it in and bale it, or bale what naturally comes up. We've always had a little crabgrass, but we've never had it real thick. Last year we overgrazed, so we're really hoping this is gonna. I'm sure that wind noise is pretty crazy. We're really hoping this is gonna improve our pasture, and I hope you like and subscribe and see what we do in the future for this pasture, because this is going to be a continual project. We're going to have to get some animals off of it. We're going to have to really think about how we graze. We're going to have to find a lease or something so that we can keep getting more animals. We're not done getting animals yet. So like and subscribe and see what's coming.